think we're up and running. Okay, Fran, I told you yesterday that I wanted to try and send you some thoughts right now because of things that I'm hearing about how I know you and how I know a lot of things that I don't have always a lot of time, and I want to take advantage of this time that I still can send you something like this, and I think this will be a good idea in the future. But I have some things that I want to talk to you about your future, your immediate future, and I guess I'll just kind of get started because I just talked to Mom a couple days ago, and she was down. She's kind of really worried. It's taken her a long time to understand different things. I don't want to get into that, but she's talking about suicidal feelings. I want to talk a little bit about that, and but basically the whole idea of you taking a break and being supervised. If you would do that, before you do that, I want to make it very clear that the most important thing would be that you wouldn't tell anybody that you would be staying with me for a few weeks or whatever. Nobody. You could tell people you're going to America for 3 months or something like that. But this is kind of what I'm getting at right now. In your life where you are still a teenager, having depressing thoughts, having nightmares every night, having been on drugs for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, starting with, I was trying to talk to Mom just, a couple of days ago, but, it's real difficult because Mom, the way she is, Mom doesn't think for herself. She will have questions, and she goes to people, and she'll say, what should I do? And she doesn't think. She just gets somebody's, she doesn't understand the way children are, the needs they have, the feelings that they have, and what's happening to them in the real world. This is what's happened to you, and that's what I want to first talk about, a little bit about, how we are as human beings, and how family is supposed to be, and what the meaning of having a family is, something that you didn't have. You didn't really have this. You and Lucas. And that's kind of how both of you got off track and in that direction. We are, mammals, Säugetiere. And that's, that's part of evolution, but we're different than reptiles. In that a reptile, has its babies and leaves. And they just figure it out on their own. But, we as mammals, we need to grow up in a family. And there has to be a father, this energy of our being. And there has to be a mother. And they're completely different. But the children need to have that to look up to in life. They have to grow in the smallest community, which is the family, where the children and with other children are fighting for attention, and they look up to the, like the Papa Bear or the Papa, Deer, and they look up to the Mother Bear, and they look up and they need that attention, that the female mother and the male father. That's a different thing, completely different thing. The dad going out and going into the jungle or going into the forest, going out, killing the animal, bringing it back. And the children go, wow, that's my dad, My dad brings back the food, he killed the bear, or he killed the, the animal. And the mother is at home, protecting the children from the weather, from all like the caveman type thing. This is a very, very important part of our psychic and our growing into the world. This is what you didn't have as a child. You had a mother and father at a very early age who were fighting. We didn't have any communication going on. And then suddenly, at an early age, in a pre-puberty age, like 8 or 9 or whatever, I got out of the situation. Completely gone. And not only was mom then at that time, looking for new partners and dealing with her problems, as a child, this is a whole set of issues, like when I first got to know mom, and her mother would call up and say, du hast mich nicht angerufen, du hast mich nicht mehr lieb, and she would lay down and cry in bed for 3 days. And this happened the first time. But what's going on? This happened, and 2 or 3 weeks later, or 10 days later, it continually happened in the first year and a half of our relationship. Where I realized, she's having, some very, very serious trauma that an adult at 27 or 28, the mother would call and say, why didn't you call me? You don't love me anymore, blah, blah, blah. And then she would have these terrible depressions, and she would stay down. That energy inside your mother is still there to this day. It's just gone in different areas. But the point about this is that you, as a little person, as a little animal, didn't have that energy from your dad. I was out of the picture. I wanted to be part of the picture. I wanted to go. I remember after, I couldn't because of the difference in things, like information and stuff. I couldn't be a part of that. I got out of it. I had to get out of it. And I remember going, going back to Rahel Varnhaderstrasse and staying outside here and you play the piano and crying. Because I couldn't be a part of that. So, but what you don't understand, when you look at a little child that's 7 or 8, or 5, or 4, or 3, you don't realize that their whole path is being set, how they are going to deal with life. And if you don't have that mother-father energy, the dad, being around you and explaining about fire, explaining about the animals, explaining about, I'm talking primitively, explaining about the elements of life, as a dad does, getting loud, being a dad. If you don't have that, your soul is still going to search for that kind of an answer because it has to have it. Your soul needs to have that kind of gratification, that kind of support, that kind of something that you can hold on to. And so as soon as puberty kicks in, you're out on the street, and that feeling is attached to something else, like people saying, wow, you're really good. Wow, you're really good because you're smoking a cigarette. Wow, you're really good because you're wearing tight pants. Wow, you're trying that. All of that other energy where the dad is supposed to, and the mom is supposed to say, wow, good job, you're playing the piano. Oh, wow, you're doing this. All of that energy gets verlagert into things that are not good for you. Things that have been, that's that connect that you have gotten, where you've gotten a whole lot of laughing at you, with you, making fun of other people, doing this, having sex like this, having sex like that, with this person for that reason, for no reason, all this other stuff. You were getting all of that attention that should have been from a mom and a dad. That's the point that I'm trying to make right now. Because, if you don't get that attention, or if you get like too much attention with a mom and dad, really, then you break off and you have to have that good mom and dad situation where they know what the reality of the world is, where they know where all the drugs people are, where they know where all the prostitutes are, where they all know the low lives are, where they know where the good people are, the good rich people, the good poor people, the bad rich people, the bad, where the good Christians or the good religious people, the bad. They have to know all of that stuff and teach that to their children and have that energy. And while they're doing that, to learn about math, to learn about drawing, to learn about camping, to learn about... You didn't have that stuff. And this is what I want you to think about right now, is that if you're having suicidal thoughts, if you're having terrible nightmares, the problem is that, the survival instinct that makes us want to go on and be something, you see? You want to be something in life. You just don't want to live life. our survival instinct wants us not only to survive, but there's this Rogers theory that says we want to become the best thing we can be in life. So those people who become, like completely faggots, that, think that they've been conditioned to think that having sex with guys is the best thing because they get all the positive, then it's not just to have that, it has to always be more. It always has to be more and more in whatever direction. That you're painting, music, with sex, with, drugs, with anything, you're pushed. But there are all of these things out there that are a substitute for love from a mom and a dad as a child grows up. They're just substitute for the direction to say, watch out for this, watch out for that. And there's a whole lot of that going on today. A lot of it in a very, very negative way, where children at a real early age are being, conditioned to think about sex before they even really can think about it. With all the television, all the mini playbacks with these little girls that are 3 years old that are dressing like prostitutes, that are 6 years old, it's crazy out there. The thing that I'm trying to tell you about, Franny, is right now you have some choices to make and you have some things to do. And I don't think Mama thinks the same kind of way, but you need a break, Franny. You have to realize that. You have to get away from all of the world, what you have built yourself to think that's going to be happy for you. How many hundreds of times do you have to be let down by friends who don't really care about you, who care about talking about other friends or whatever, How many times, you have to realize that, being a teenager right now, in your life, and I've said this to you before, I see you, Franny. I see Lucas, how he's doing. I see Tony. I see Sissy. I see my colleagues. I see people. And I see you, Franny, and you are not you. You have like a great big cancer in your mind and in your soul that you just need to let go. And it's like, all of these things that you've been trying to do to get attention, getting drawn on in the bathrooms, all of this stuff that's been going on, because you didn't have that, and it had to be this way. All of this stuff that you've got in your mind programmed, how you want to dress, punk this, that, earrings here, vitamin, all this, whatever. Basically you need a break from all that. You have to stop all of that. And stop it all. And stop contacts with all of your friends. All of the people, so that you can come back and be with yourself and think about that and, build a new thing. Because, if you're having kind of suicidal thoughts, as a 19-year-old young girl who has all the possibilities in the world to live and to do things. You could become, today, you could become a chemist. You're completely, you have talents with piano and painting and stuff. You could become anything. You could become a politician. You could become an astronaut. You could become, the president of a country, or the inventor of some kind of a, something. You could become a computer. You could at this point become anything possible. Especially, not only because of your age, but because, you're still in the school system. A lot of people, but when they're 35 and they've just had a Hauptschule, Abschluss, they go to work, they go to evening schools, and they get their Abi, they study, and by the time they're 45, they have, their diploma, and they've done something, and they become, a doctor or something. Some people start by the time they're 35. You're 19. And I just want you to know, Franny, that you have to take a break. You have to take a break. And to break, what I think you would need would be about like 6 or 8 weeks, where you would be not putting on any makeup, not putting on any earrings, keeping your hair down, wearing sweatshirts like the college girl, wearing, normal pants like, sweatpants, and where, all of the moda thoughts, all of the boy thoughts, right now, and then to reorganize, how you want to go on. These nightmares and these suicidal thoughts, have to do with, your conditioned, your eingeprägtes picture of what life is, what reality is. It's set upon, people like Stefano and all these other things that you're spending your time dealing with, the way you connect with the world. And if you don't have any perspective to live life, it's because the things that you have been doing build up inside you, and there's another part of you, the real you, that says, I don't want that. That doesn't make me happy. And there's nothing else to live for. This is the point that I'm trying to make. Once you stop all of that type of thoughts, and you say, Dad or anybody, I need a break. Mom can't give it to you. Gertrude can't give it to you. Some older person can't give it to you. And studying right now can't give it to you. And starting something. But if you can get off, like 2 months, 6 weeks, 8 weeks or something, and I can, whatever, we can get you some kind of help in a different way, I think you still have all the opportunities to do everything in life. People, like you don't realize suicidal thoughts. There was the communists, there was the Soviet Union, all of this stuff, 1989, the fall of the wall. You guys don't know anything about the Cold War. You don't know about, where people were worried all the time that, the Soviet Union was going to blow up, which they almost tried, and it was very strained. Whoever, this whole idea of, the Soviet Union, which was communism, which took over all of these countries, and, and it ended up falling all apart because they didn't give you, there's just, it's the most corrupt state that there ever was. But, they were, there was the fear of, this, of the nuclear arms race, where they were building, the Americans, the West was building up, the nuclear bombs and the others. You don't realize, that like after the fall of the wall, after the Soviet Union fell all apart, you had millions of people who believed, that democracy is evil, that freedom is evil, that the state has to dominate people, and believed in this kind of organizing people, making them tell them what to think. These people, a lot of them, after that, the fall of the wall in 1989, killed themselves because they committed suicide, because it was like their whole world fell all apart. They had been preaching for 40 years that West Germany was terrible, and then all of a sudden it falls all apart, and the top people, the smart ones, left East Germany, came to West Germany, came to America, left, and the people that were still there going, oh no. Their reality, life for them, gave them no outlet, because everything that they believed in and spent 40 years, or in your circumstance, 8 years or whatever, everything that you spent your time doing is no longer either meaningful, or you're empty and you see no outlet in life. You have a whole life to live, Franny. You have motherhood to enjoy at an age where the whole idea of, you're too young to appreciate this, to carry a baby, to carry a person in your body, and then to push that person out and to nurse that person. You've got to to become a grandmother, you've got a piano playing to do, but you're measuring your success today and your capability today with only with what you've been spending your life doing in the past 8 years, which has been 95%, much 97%, much 99%, much too much about all of this other stuff that was a substitute because you didn't have a mother and a father at home to look up to and to guide you. You got connected like with the streets, like many people, and many people worse, and the drugs and all this stuff. Little children with 12 years old know about the world? Well, they tell their mom and dad they do. You know, little children that are 11 years old that don't have a mom or dad and get attention. Oh, you're really good. Oh, take these drugs. Have sex with this guy. Let him, fuck you in the butt. What? Wow. Okay, you are really good. Yeah, that. And someone is profiting from this. Someone is enjoying watching this. There's a very sick part of the world which, like, just for example, like 10 years ago, it was 12 years ago or 8 years ago, it came in the Bodish Zeitung, a great big article. People were shocked because there was an internet site about, they were selling, boys and girls, selling them for sex from Poland. And the deal was, they wrote it, they brought it all in the newspaper, they brought this can't be true. This is happening. Internet, they found it out, they printed it out, they were selling for like 3,000 euros a boy or a girl. And, that was the cost. And if they needed to dispose of the Leiche when you're finished with it, it cost 7,000 euros. This was the deal. So children that are 11 and 12 and 13, 14, 15 and 16, 17, 18, 19 don't know what's going on in the world. And parents that have been busy with this stuff do, and parents that haven't been busy with this stuff don't either. So my point is, friend, I want you to understand that you going alone someplace with all of these problems, however big or little that they are there, friend. And you need to have a break. You need to stop. And within, like 48 hours, 36 hours, where you mentally are saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a break, After like 3 days, or after 4 or 5 days, of being in a secluded place, like in Ehrenstetten here, where you have a room, and you have a piano, and wherever, like a place like this, where you are doing nothing and nobody knows you're there, and you're not contacting anybody. You're taking a break from Facebook. You're taking a break from all of these things that you've connected yourself to the world with, that don't bring you anything, that occupy your mind, make you sad, make you depressed, make you insecure. And the thing of it is now, friend, the really the thing is, I'm your dad. I know what your capabilities are, and I know what's holding you back. And the funny thing about all of this is, the only thing you need to do in order to have this break is nothing. Just nothing for a while. Cook food, go for a walk, get away from the world. Get away from everything. And my idea is what you need to do, because, dealing with Francisco's time and dealing with, different people about the drug scene and about, children and whatever, my idea would be for you to come, and I have a great big bag, because And you would just put everything in that big brown bag, and I'd lock it up, and you, whatever, I'd take the key, and the bag would be there. I wouldn't look in the bag. But you put all of your stuff in there, all of your makeup, all of your rings, all of your tangas, all of your behas and things, and all of this type of stuff, all of the past, your books, your handy, everything, just put it in a big, big bag, lock the bag up, and, and just put it in the other room, and then, let's say, maybe in a week or 10 days, maybe we can open that up and look in it and talk about it. But I think it would do you good to be able to talk with someone, too, and maybe get in some kind of a thing. But first, after having a break, and just, and working with, maybe me or something. So that's kind of my idea, Franny, is that, when you did your Freiwillige Sozialjahr, you should have been thinking about that 6 or 8 months before. When you're thinking about what you're going to do as of September, you should have been doing this, a year ago. I was letting you know, in January you have to send out 10 different Bewerbungen. Nothing happens. It doesn't happen because you're busy all the time thinking about all these thoughts. So my idea is for you to take a break. And then maybe, who knows, after a while, what you could do. But the point of it is, I don't want you to continue the next 8 years on the same track mentally. Or even if you're on a different track, I'm not on that track anymore, Dad. But all the energy inside you, all the depression, all that stuff that you've been dealing with, the drugs and everything else, all of that stuff is kind of inside you. And that's what I want you to be able to do, is to get a break, get a new perspective, and let that stuff start to go. And then get on a track. And while you're on a track, you realize you're going someplace, but each time you're going, you're thinking about the past and just throwing that out, like an airplane. You're driving someplace new. But that's not what's transporting you, or how can I say this? The energy of you being on a new track, that your whole personality, your whole psyche is full, full of all of that, those thoughts, and that's what I want. I want you to stop the train, and then get away from those thoughts. Just get away. And then after a while, start thinking about them, like therapy type does, and let them go. That's the whole point of, psychoanalysis. It's rethinking consciously with your adult ich what you've done, because the present state of us doesn't allow us to do that. We're taking in 30 million bits of information every second, and we want to be happy. And 5 minutes after this tape, you'll be looking at that, doing this, and you'll be thinking about other things. And having had that going on for 8 years, there's a lot of feelings, a whole lot of emotions that are inside your subconscious heart, which are making you think suicidal thoughts, which are making you depressed, which are making you all this stuff. And it's that, what Mom can't understand, is that before you go on and become, whatever you want to do for a year, whatever, it doesn't matter. Before you do anything, you have to stop what I wanted you to do in Vensingen, in March. I want you to take a 10-day break over 2 weekends. I couldn't do it, Franny. The reason I want you to stop, because once you stop and you get off the track and you sit down, and I'm not going to get on that track, any track, for a while. I'm going to go for walks, I'm going to drink water, I'm going to read about this, I'm going to play cards with my dad, I'm going to meet some different types of people. Nothing to do with the past. Nothing. You take a break. And then you slowly start to think about it. And you let things come up. And you let those feel, and when they come up, and you think about them again, And you go through them, I did that, I feel very embarrassed about that, oh my God, I actually did that. And then you think about it, you say, well, I'm not doing that anymore, and I was just a kid and I didn't know. And you get all of these things, you rethink them, and then they kind of like just go out away from you. They get turned, when they're in the Unterbewusstsein, they're like little knives that are trying to stick up, and you force them down. And they're down there, creating all this energy to be depressed and all this other stuff. And it stays down there. And once you allow them to come up, then you deal with them. And you wrestle with them. And then they get calm. And then they get kind of put away in an aside where they are kind of like good memory, where you remember, oh, I'm not going to do that again. Oh, no, that. Oh, yeah. And they become your friend. Because as long as they're on here like this, going like this, they're angry, they want to get out to you, they're not your friend. You're pushing them down because you want to go up and meet the next guy and have the coffee and smoke the cigarette and all this other stuff. And this pain is down here making you do this, and it doesn't make you happy, and it gets more of that stuff. So taking a break allows you to take all of that information and just push it over there and do nothing. Just do nothing. Nothing. Watch a movie, maybe a happy movie, eat and sleep, get some rest. No cigarettes, no alcohol, no drugs, no contact with anybody from the past. And no contact, with mom in a different way. I've talked to her, like friends, after, whatever. After a week, talk for 20 minutes, and basta, out, finished, boom. Then you get back to having a break. And I think this is what you need, but you need to realize that this is what you need. Because like I say, Franny, I'm almost done now. You can get on a different track, but you're going to have all that baggage in your subconscious that's going to be pushing you. And it's not going to allow you. And if you just take a break, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and take a longer break. Maybe go to America to the farm. I mean, that's not a good idea. But go someplace. Find, we can, but just living in Paris or living in New York and, having this friend and then dressing and making, you have to get away. You're still young, Franny. But you're still a baby about so much. You are like behindert in eine bestimmte Weise. Deine Behinderung is that, and which makes you depressed because when you think about this, the past 8 years, a lot of that time, I think I made a mistake. It's not 170,000, but maybe 17,000. If you would have spent 1 hour playing the piano, it would have been like 3,000 hours in 8 years. I could figure it out, and then 6 hours, and 6 hours a day is not a lot. Because if you think about it, the time you're thinking every moment of your life, it's much more than like 30,000 hours of thinking about these types of people because they give you that love, that papa love, and that mama love, what you didn't get. And that's the thing, you see. This thing that the world needs to realize is that you are doing just what God has wanted you to do. What you have become is a product of God's love, but God's love that wasn't given. The love of your soul, the love of your heart, the love that's in you. And it wasn't, the dad wasn't there, the mom wasn't there, and this is what we need to see. We need to see this is where you will get it. This is why kids, and think of it as, now I'm finishing again. I'm finishing now really, because I want to say one more time. If you can take this energy, friend, work on it, put it away, it can be the most beneficial experience that you've had is these past 8 years. If you can take a break, get off the track, leave all that stuff away, put it in the big bag, push it away, say, I'm taking a break. drink water. I've got some great juices from Rava, some Traubus. That's amazing. And you can do this too, friend. Let me explain. I fasted for 58 days in a row. Right now, I think today will be my 23rd day of jogging. And when I jog, I'm jogging up those mountains. And I started, and I've lost like almost 10 kilos. But fat, I've probably lost 12 kilos of fat, but I've gained about 2 kilos of muscle. So right now, the weight is kind of going slower down because the more I exercise, the muscle weighs more than fat. So you burn fat off, but you gain muscle. And muscle's heavier than fat. So you don't lose weight as quickly when you start working out like this. But I got off there. All I wanted to say was that, don't forget, if you can take a break like this, and I feel really, it's at a real important point. You're still a teenager, you're still a kid. But if you continue another year, it will just get bigger, Franny. That big stuff in your heart. And you don't need that stuff. That's not you. You just push it away and take a break and work on that, and then it can make that's some people, whether they're Bob Dylan or whoever they are, Van Gogh or whatever, their subconscious, the pain in their subconscious has allowed them to become fantastic, unbelievable people. That's the unique thing about our humanity, is that that's our mind, our subconscious mind has this incredible energy which makes people climb mountains, do this stuff, or just the desire to have that love of a dad or a mom. Makes them do really crazy things. And that was my point today, Franny, was, like we're Säugetiere. We're mammals. We need a family. The kids need to play together and fight together and then look up and the mother says, you're good, you're bad. That's nice, that's not nice. And they need to look up and see the mother and the papa bear kissing and rubbing each other and loving. And then the kids come up, like in Land Before Time, where they all get together and huddle together. We need that, and you didn't get that. And that energy in you made you look up, whatever guy, Ralph or whoever, who was that father figure, the mother figure, who gave you positive feelings because you look nice and all that stuff. I'm done. I want you to take a break, friend. I want you to take a break and live a long life. But I want you to get away from all the stuff in there. And the only thing you have to do is nothing. Don't worry. You have to do nothing. You don't do anything, and you don't tell anybody what you're going to be doing, and you build confidence with me, and we work on this. Because all the kids that you see that are on the streets, that are, sitting down together, the Aussteiger, they don't have any teeth, they sit down, they pee their pants on the streets and all this stuff. They're just little 10-year-old kids that got turned into this. And they didn't get anybody to help them when they were 20, and say, hey, stop, You're thinking on a wrong thing, You've got a real lot of pressure. Your dad was an alcoholic, he was mean to you. Your mother did this, whatever, They were too hard, whatever, They didn't get a chance. And they don't kill themselves, but they just, waste their lives. They get off. So, you're young, and you have all the opportunities. This was longer than I expected because I got to get up on that mountain. But all I wanted to say, Franny, was again that you and your heart is great. The connection you have, the connection that attached itself to your soul, to the world, hasn't been good for you. And is not good for you. You need to take a break from that. You will be able to use that eventually to make you an incredible person. You have all the possibilities in the world to do everything in your life. But you need a break. And we need to think about that. And you can say, oh, Dad, I'm fine. And then you can worry about it and say, I'm suicidal, I have those nightmares. Friend, you have to realize that you have to stop, get away, and you have time. You have no responsibilities. You don't have to do anything right now. You don't have to have a job. You don't have to take care of a baby. You don't have to work in a place. You don't have to do anything. And if you can use this time right now to push the stuff away, breathe, go for walks, think about, and we can think about some kind of a therapy thing or talk with people. We can think about something. But first, after, 10 days, we can think about a puppy. We can think about anything. We can think about everything. I love you. Miss you. And that little picture of you when you were a baby, it was amazing. And I want to end this. That's about all I wanted to say. I don't need to say it again. And I'm going to post this to YouTube because that's the only thing you can see now. But I've got about probably 12 or 15 of these things that I need to talk to you about. And over and out. I'm going to go jogging on that mountain. I love you.